I never meant to become the villain in my family's story. But standing outside my mother's new McMansion, listening to her conspire with my stepfather about hidden accounts and my inheritance, I realized I'd already been cast as one. My name is Serenity, and until 6 months ago, I was just another 29-year-old tech professional living my best life in Seattle. Now I'm the daughter both my parents want to erase from their carefully curated new lives. "We need to get her to sign those papers," my mother Genesis was saying, her voice drifting through the partially open window. "Larry's business partner is getting antsy about the transfers." "She'll sign," my stepfather Larry replied. "She's always been such a good girl, always doing what's expected." I pressed myself against the cool brick, my heart pounding. I'd only stopped by to drop off Mum's birthday gift, a ritual I maintained despite her increasing distance since remarrying 3 years ago. What if she asks questions? Mum's voice had that nervous edge I remembered from childhood, when she'd try to hide overdue bills from Dad. About the inheritance? Please, she probably doesn't even remember her grandmother mentioned those accounts. But I did remember. Grandma Helen had pulled me aside at her last Christmas, pressing a letter into my hands. "When you turn 30, sweetheart, not before. Promise me." She died 2 months later. The letter, still unopened, sat in my safe deposit box. My phone buzzed, a text from my father Elijah. "Need to discuss something important. Dinner tonight?" "Perfect timing, Dad. Really." I stepped away from the window and walked to my car, my gift bag still clutched in my hand. The expensive perfume inside suddenly seemed ridiculous. What do you give someone who's plotting to steal from you? 3 hours later, I sat across from my father at his favorite steakhouse, watching him cut into his medium-rare ribeye with precise movements. His new wife Vanessa was there too, of course. She never let him out of her sight these days. "Serenity, honey," he began, setting down his knife. "We've been thinking about your future." "That's funny," I said, pushing my salad around. "So has Mum." He exchanged a quick glance with Vanessa. "Oh? You've spoken to her recently?" "You could say that." I took a sip of water. "Dad, what's this really about?" Vanessa leaned forward, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the light. "We're concerned about you, sweetheart. Always working such long hours at that computer job. No serious relationship, no real roots." "I make 6 figures securing corporate networks, Vanessa. I'd call those pretty serious roots." "What Vanessa means," Dad cut in, "is that we think it might be time for you to consider a fresh start. Maybe use your grandmother's inheritance to buy a nice condo, settle down. The inheritance I'm not supposed to access until I turn 30. I watched his face carefully. Funny how everyone's suddenly so interested in that. "Plans change, honey. Times change. And with Samuel's college fund needing attention..." Ah, there it was. My 12-year-old stepbrother's future trumped my grandmother's wishes. Just like Penelope's private school tuition had somehow become tied to my mother's share of my inheritance. "I need to use the ladies' room," I said, standing up. In the restroom, I gripped the marble counter and stared at my reflection. I had my mother's eyes and my father's stubborn jaw. Right now, both felt like curses. My phone buzzed again. A text from Harry, my best friend since college. "How's dinner with the devil?" I typed back, "Both devils are circling. Time to play their game?" His response was immediate. "You know I've got your back, whatever you need." I smiled at my reflection. In the mirror, I looked exactly like what they all thought I was. The good girl, the dutiful daughter, the one who'd sign whatever they put in front of her. They had no idea what I was capable of. Walking back to the table, I caught the tail end of their whispered conversation. "Just like her mother, always questioning everything," Vanessa was saying. Dad shushed her as I approached. "Everything okay, honey?" I gave them my brightest smile. "Perfect. Actually, I've been thinking about what you said, about fresh starts." Their relief was palpable. Dad reached for his wallet, probably to celebrate with an extra bottle of wine. "I think it's time for all of us to face some truths," I continued, "starting with what's really happening with those accounts. The color drained from my father's face. Vanessa's hand froze halfway to her wine glass. I picked up my purse. But that's a conversation for another night. I have some work to do first. As I walked out of the restaurant, my phone buzzed one final time. A text from my mother. "Please call me, it's important." "I bet it is, Mom. I bet it is." The next morning, I sat in my home office staring at my grandmother's letter. The paper felt delicate, like it might crumble under the weight of everything that had happened since she wrote it. My phone lit up with another message from Mom. "Serenity, please. We need to talk." That made 15 unanswered texts since last night. I switched my phone to silent and opened my laptop instead. Time to see what my parents were so desperate to hide. "You sure about this?" Harry's voice crackled through my speakers as we connected on our secure line. "Once you start digging, there's no going back." "They already started this," I said, fingers flying across my keyboard. "Did you get access to those records I asked about?" "Better. I found something weird in your stepdad's company filings. Multiple shell corporations, all registered within days of your mom's wedding." "Send them over." While Harry transferred the files, I opened my banking app and pulled up Grandma's trust information. The balance made me catch my breath. 7 figures, all earmarked for my 30th birthday. No wonder they were circling like vultures. "Got another hit," Harry said. "Your dad's new construction business, the one Vanessa's always bragging about on Facebook. It's hemorrhaging money, but somehow they're still buying property all over the city." "Money laundering?" "Looking that way. Want me to dig deeper?" A knock at my door made me freeze. Through the security camera feed, I saw my stepsister Penelope shifting nervously on my welcome mat. "Call you back," I told Harry, closing my laptop. I opened the door to find Penelope looking smaller than her 15 years, clutching her phone like a lifeline. "Mum's freaking out," she blurted. "She said you won't answer her calls." "Shouldn't you be in school? It's Saturday." She pushed past me into the apartment. "What's going on? Larry's been locked in his office all morning and Mum keeps crying." I studied her face, so young, so earnest. She had no idea she was just another pawn in their game. "How'd you get here?" I asked. "Uber." She flopped onto my couch. "Mom doesn't know I came. She thinks I'm at soccer practice." "Penny, don't call me that." She sat up straighter. "I'm not stupid, you know. I hear things, like how my tuition is coming from your money, not theirs." That stopped me cold. "What exactly did you hear?" "Larry told Mom they needed you to sign something, or the school wouldn't get paid next semester." Her voice wavered. "Is that true? Are they stealing from you?" I sat beside her, choosing my words carefully. "It's complicated. That's what adults always say when they're lying." She pulled out her phone, opened a video. "I recorded something last night, after you didn't answer Mum's calls." The video was shaky, filmed through a crack in a door. Larry's voice came through clearly. "If she starts asking questions about the offshore accounts, we're all screwed. Not just us. Your ex-husband, too. You think Elijah's new family would survive that scandal?" My mother's response was tearful. "She wouldn't. She's not that kind of person." "Everyone's that kind of person when millions are involved." I looked at Penelope, saw the hurt in her eyes. "Does Mom know you have this?" She shook her head. "I didn't know who else to show. You're the only one who ever tells me the truth." My phone buzzed again. A text from my father. "Meeting with the lawyers Monday. Very important you attend." "What are you going to do?" Penelope asked. I thought about Grandma Helen, about her final Christmas. She'd known something wasn't right. That's why she'd written the letter. "First," I said, "I'm going to read something I should have read months ago." I retrieved the letter from my office, sat back down beside Penelope. The envelope opened easily, as if it had been waiting for this moment. "Dear Serenity," I read aloud. "If you're reading this, you've either turned 30 or you've discovered what your parents are capable of. The money I've left you isn't just an inheritance, it's protection. They'll try to take it, claim they need it for noble reasons. Don't let them. Some people only show their true colors when there's green involved." Penelope leaned against my shoulder as I continued reading. The letter, detailed account numbers, passwords, evidence of years of financial manipulation by both my parents. "Holy shit," Penelope whispered. "Language," I said automatically, but my mind was racing. Grandma hadn't just left me money, she'd left me ammunition. My phone buzzed one final time. "Harry. Found something big. You need to see this now." I looked at Penelope, saw my own determination reflected in her eyes. "Want to help me take down some adults who think they're smarter than they are?" She grinned. "Hell yes." "Language," I said again, but this time I was smiling too. The game was changing, and I finally had all the pieces I needed to play. "Your parents are running a pyramid scheme," Harry announced, spreading documents across my dining room table. "And not a very clever one." After getting Penelope safely home via Uber, with a promise to keep her updated, I'd invited Harry over to show me his findings in person. 3 hours and 2 pizza boxes later, the scope of my parents' deception was becoming clear. "Look at this," Harry pointed to a spreadsheet. "Your stepdad Larry creates shell companies. Your dad Elijah's construction business renovates empty properties for these companies. Your mum and Vanessa's interior design firms then stage and flip the properties. But the properties don't exist," I finished, seeing the pattern. "Bingo. They're washing money through fake real estate deals. The only question is, whose money?" My laptop pinged with an alert. I'd set up monitoring on my parents' email accounts, not strictly legal, but neither was what they were doing. "Speaking of questions," I said, opening the new email. "Look who's getting nervous." The message was from Larry to my father. "She knows something. Meeting tomorrow, 2 p.m., usual place. Bring the papers." Harry whistled. "The usual place?" "The Riverside Club." I pulled up the club's membership records. They both joined 3 years ago, right after Dad's wedding to Vanessa. Monthly dues are more than my mortgage. Perfect place to plan financial crimes over overpriced scotch. I started typing. "The club's security is a joke. I'm in their camera system." "There." I turned the screen to show Harry. "They meet in that private room every Thursday. Tomorrow's special, just for me." "What's your play?" Before I could answer, my doorbell rang. Through the security feed, I saw Samuel, my 12-year-old stepbrother, shifting anxiously in the hallway. "What is this, Grand Central Station for step-siblings?" I muttered, but went to let him in. Samuel burst in as soon as I opened the door. "Dad's going crazy," he blurted. "He and Vanessa were fighting about you, and then he started shredding papers in his office and—" He stopped, noticing Harry. "Oh, hi. This is Harry," I said. "He's helping me with a project." Samuel's eyes darted between us. "Is this about the money? Because I heard Vanessa tell Dad that my college fund isn't real." My heart sank. "What do you mean?" "She said it was just for show, to convince some people they were legitimate, whatever that means." He pulled a folded paper from his pocket. I grabbed this before Dad could shred it. The document was a bank statement showing transfers between multiple accounts, all with identical balances. Classic money laundering. "Samuel," I said carefully, "does your dad know you took this?" He shook his head. "I'm not stupid. I know something bad's happening. That's why I came to you." Harry cleared his throat. "Kids got good instincts." "I want to help," Samuel insisted. "They think because I'm always gaming, I don't notice things. But I do." An idea formed. "Those cameras you use for your Twitch streams," I said, "the tiny ones that clip onto anything." His eyes lit up. "Yeah? Think you could get one into your dad's office?" "Serenity," Harry warned. "That's risky. More risky than what they're doing to these kids." I gestured to the documents. "They're using Samuel's college fund as a front. They used Penelope's tuition to pressure me. They're dragging our siblings into their mess." Samuel pulled out his phone. "I can do better than one camera. I can get you his whole desktop. Dad uses the same password for everything. Vanessa's birthday. Amateur move, right?" I couldn't help but laugh. "You really do notice things." "So I can help?" I shared a look with Harry, who shrugged. He's already involved. Okay, I said, but we do this smart. No risks. Harry and I handle anything illegal. Ha, so you are doing illegal stuff. And you stay safe. Deal? He held out his hand solemnly. Deal. After setting Samuel up with secure communication channels and sending him home with a cover story about needing help with his math homework, I turned back to Harry. Tomorrow at the club, I said. I think it's time to crash their meeting. How? You're not a member. I pulled up the club's employee records. No, but their new bartender is. Started last week. Funny how they never actually interviewed her in person. Harry grinned. You didn't? Amazing what you can do with the right paperwork and a good reference. I closed my laptop. Tomorrow we find out exactly what they're planning with those papers they want me to sign. And then, I thought about Penelope's worried face, Samuel's stolen document, my grandmother's warning letter. Then we make sure they never hurt anyone else with their schemes. My phone buzzed, a text from Mum. Please come to the meeting tomorrow. We can explain everything. Oh, they'd explain all right, just not in the way they were planning. The Riverside Club service uniform itched, and the contact lens camera Harry had given me kept making my eye water. But as I arranged glasses on my serving tray, I had a perfect view of my father and Larry settling into their private room. Water with lemon for Mr. Ellis, I murmured in my practiced Australian accent, setting down their drinks. And scotch, neat, for Mr. Thompson. Neither looked up. They were too engrossed in their papers to notice their bartender was their daughter in a wig. The lawyers are ready, Dad was saying. Once she signs, the trust transfers immediately. Larry swirled his scotch. And Genesis is sure about her grandmother's letter. She never opened it. That's what's driving her crazy. She thinks Serenity knows something. Gentlemen, a new voice interrupted. Vanessa swept in, designer handbag swinging. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was horrible. I turned to leave, but Vanessa caught my arm. Another scotch, dear, and make it quick. In the service corridor, I pressed my earpiece. Harry, you getting this? Crystal clear, his voice crackled back. Samuel came through too. Just sent footage from your dad's office. You're not going to believe what Vanessa's been up to. Tell me later, they're pulling out more papers. Back in the room, the atmosphere had shifted. Vanessa was pacing, her heels clicking against the hardwood. Samuel was in your office, she snapped at my father. That little sneak was going through your papers. Dad's face paled. What? I checked the security footage. He took something, Elijah. A bank statement. Jesus Christ, Larry muttered. Can't you control your kid? He's 12, Dad protested. He probably didn't understand. He's 12, not stupid, Vanessa cut in. Unlike some people at this table. I nearly dropped my tray. In my ear, Harry whispered, Steady. What's that supposed to mean? Larry demanded. Vanessa pulled out her phone. It means while you two were playing businessman, I was actually protecting our interests. Show them the numbers, Larry. Show them what you've really been doing with the construction funds. Larry's face turned red. Now wait a minute. Oh, I've waited. I've watched you siphon money from our accounts for months. Did you think I wouldn't notice? I ran 3 successful businesses before I married Elijah. I know fraud when I see it. Dad stood up so fast his chair toppled. You're stealing from us. More scotch, I offered brightly, stepping between them. Get out, Vanessa snapped. I retreated to the door, but lingered, watching the scene unfold. It's not stealing, Larry was saying. I was investing. In what? Vanessa laughed. Your girlfriend's boutique in Vancouver? The room went silent. In my ear, Harry whispered, plot twist. What girlfriend? My father asked quietly. Larry's face was now purple. You had me followed. Of course I did. I follow everyone. Vanessa turned to my father. Including your weekly visits to Genesis. I almost gave myself away with a gasp. Dad was meeting Mom in secret. That's different, Dad protested. We're discussing Serenity's inheritance. You're discussing how to steal it. Vanessa slammed her hand on the table. Did you think I wouldn't find out about that too? The offshore accounts, the fake college funds, all of it. Keep recording, Harry urged in my ear. This is gold. You don't understand, Larry tried again. The business is a front, Vanessa spat, just like this whole charade. Well, I'm done playing along. Either we do this my way, or I take everything I know to the SEC. Dad sank into his chair. What do you want? Simple. We get Serenity's signature tomorrow, transfer the money before she turns 30, and then... She smiled coldly. We all go our separate ways, with equal shares. Genesis won't agree, Dad said. Genesis doesn't have a choice. None of you do. Vanessa gathered her papers. Meeting's over. Don't forget to tip the help. She brushed past me with a dismissive glance. Larry and my father sat in stunned silence. In the service corridor, I pressed my earpiece again. Harry? Yeah? Remember how I wasn't sure about going nuclear on them? Changed your mind? I watched through the door as my father buried his face in his hands, while Larry drained his scotch with shaking fingers. They're not just trying to steal my inheritance, I said. They're destroying each other to get it, and dragging our siblings into their mess. So what's the plan? Through the door, I heard Larry mutter, What are we going to do? My father's response was clear. Whatever we have to. We can't let Serenity find out about any of this. I smiled grimly. The plan? We give them exactly what they want. A meeting tomorrow with all of them present. One big, happy family reunion. And then? And then we show them what happens when you underestimate the help. The morning of the big meeting, I found Penelope waiting outside my apartment again. This time, she wasn't alone. Samuel showed me the footage, she said, pushing past me. Samuel followed, clutching his laptop. We've got more. You two shouldn't be here, I started, but Samuel was already setting up his computer on my kitchen counter. Mum's been meeting your dad in secret for months, Penelope said. Not just about the inheritance. Look, Samuel pulled up a video. The timestamp showed 3 a.m. last night, security footage from his father's home office. My mother was there, frantically searching through desk drawers, while my father kept watch at the door. Where is it? Mum's voice was panicked. The original contract has to be here somewhere. Genesis, we need to go, Dad urged. If Vanessa wakes up, she already knows everything, Mum snapped. Your wife's been playing us all, Elijah. She's got proof of every transaction, every fake company, every... She stopped, pulling out a thick folder. Found it. Is that? The original trust agreement, the one we altered. She shoved it in her bag. Now we just need Serenity's signature on the new version and... The video cut off. Samuel closed his laptop. There's more, but you get the idea. They altered Grandma's trust agreement. My voice sounded strange, even to me. That's not all, Penelope said. After Mum got home last night, Larry started calling all these overseas numbers. I recorded some of the conversations. She pulled out her phone. He's planning to run. Tonight, after the meeting. He's got a plane waiting. My phone buzzed. Harry. In position at the law office, you need to see this email chain between your dad and the lawyers. They're planning to declare you mentally incompetent if you don't sign. I looked at my step-siblings. These kids caught in the crossfire of adult greed. You should go home. What's about to happen? It won't be pretty. We're already involved, Samuel said. They used us as props in their schemes. We deserve to see how it ends. Besides, Penelope added, we've got one more bomb to drop. She pulled up another video on her phone. Remember how I said Vanessa knows everything? Look who she's been meeting with. The video showed Vanessa in a coffee shop, sitting across from a familiar face, my grandmother's former lawyer. She found the real will, Samuel explained. The one they hid when your grandmother died. Vanessa's been sitting on it for months, waiting for the right moment to use it against them. That's why she was so confident at the club yesterday, I realized. She's got proof they committed actual fraud. And she's willing to bury it, Penelope said, for a price. My phone buzzed again. Mom, on our way to the lawyers. Please be there, sweetheart. Let us explain everything. Then Dad, almost there. Remember, We love you. This is all for your own good. Finally, Vanessa. Don't be late. Wouldn't want to miss the family reunion. I looked at the time. 1 hour until the meeting that would change everything. Okay, I said to my step-siblings. If you're going to be part of this, we do it right. Here's what we need. 45 minutes later, I walked into the law officer's conference room. Harry was already there, posing as a junior partner. Mom, Dad, Larry, and Vanessa sat around the massive table, all trying to avoid eye contact with each other. Serenity, Mom stood up. Thank God you came. Of course I came. I sat down, placing my laptop on the table. I wouldn't miss this for the world. Before we begin, the lead lawyer said, we need to discuss the terms of the trust transfer. Actually, I interrupted, opening my laptop. I think we need to discuss a few other things first. I pressed a button, and the room's large display screen flickered to life. Like this video from the club yesterday, or these recordings from last night. Or maybe, I smiled at Vanessa, we should talk about the real will you've been hiding. The color drained from every face in the room. How did you, Larry started, or we could discuss the fake companies, the money laundering, the altered trust agreement. I've got it all. Every scheme, every lie, every betrayal. Serenity, Dad pleaded, let us explain. Oh, you'll explain. To the SEC, the IRS, and anyone else interested in what you've been doing. Unless what? Vanessa demanded. I pulled out a stack of papers. Unless you sign these, all of you, right now. What are they? Mom asked, voice trembling. Your confessions, your resignations from any company boards, and legally binding agreements to transfer control of all assets to a trust, one that will actually support Samuel and Penelope's education, not just pretend to. You're blackmailing us, Larry sputtered. No, I said calmly. I'm giving you a choice, more than you ever gave me. The room fell silent as my words sank in. Outside the conference room, I caught a glimpse of Samuel and Penelope watching through the glass, phones raised, recording everything. Time for the final act to begin. You can't do this, Larry was the first to break the silence. You're bluffing. I clicked to the next slide on the screen. Security footage showed him meeting his girlfriend outside a Vancouver bank. Am I? Let's ask your girlfriend about those transfers. I'm sure the Canadian authorities would love to chat with her too. Serenity, Mum reached across the table. Sweetheart, we were trying to protect you. By stealing from me. I played the video of her and Dad in his office. By conspiring to declare me mentally incompetent. That was Vanessa's idea, Dad blurted. Vanessa's perfectly manicured nails drummed the table. Really, Elijah? Throwing me under the bus already? She turned to me. You think you're so clever, don't you? But you've overlooked one thing. The real will, I smiled as her confidence faltered. The one you found and kept secret. Check your phone. She grabbed her phone, face paling as she read the message that had just arrived. Security footage of her meeting with Grandma's lawyer, followed by bank records of her subsequent payoff to him. How did you... You're not the only one who knows how to follow people. I nodded toward the glass wall where Samuel and Penelope still watched. Amazing what kids notice when adults think they're not paying attention. You involved the children? Mom looked horrified. How could you? How could I? I slammed my hand on the table. You used their futures as leverage. You created fake college funds to launder money. You made them accomplices to your crimes. Harry, still playing his role as the junior partner, cleared his throat. Perhaps we should focus on the documents that need signing. I'm not signing anything. Larry stood up. This is ridiculous. Genesis, let's go. Sit down, Vanessa snapped. Unless you want everyone to know about the money you've been stealing from our accounts, including your girlfriend. You knew? Mom's voice was small. Of course I knew. I know everything. Vanessa reached for the papers I'd brought. Where do I sign? Vanessa, don't... Dad started. Wake up, Elijah. She has us, all of us. Vanessa grabbed a pen. The only question is whether we walk away with something or nothing. I slid the papers toward each of them. Sign and you keep enough to live comfortably. Not wealthy, but comfortable. Refuse, and everything goes to the authorities. Your choice. What about the children? Mom asked. Penelope's school. The trust will cover their education, their real education, not your money laundering front. I met her eyes. They deserve better than what you've done to them. One by one they signed. Larry first, already planning his escape. Vanessa next, practical to the end. Dad, shoulders slumped in defeat. Finally Mom, tears smudging her signature. It's done, Harry said, gathering the papers. I'll file these immediately. Wait, Dad said, what happens now? I stood up, gathering my things. Now, you all have 24 hours to resign from your positions, transfer the specified assets, and begin making amends. The trust will be managed by an independent board, no family members allowed. And if we don't, Larry challenged. I nodded toward the glass wall. Samuel and Penelope held up their phones, still recording. Then everything we've discussed goes public. Every video, every document, every secret. I headed for the door. Your reputations, your freedom, your futures, they're in your hands now, just like mine was in yours. Serenity, Mom called out. Please, we're still family. I turned back one last time. Family doesn't steal from family. Family doesn't conspire and betray and lie. You taught me that, just not in the way you intended. Outside the conference room, Samuel and Penelope were waiting. Did they sign? Samuel asked. They signed. I hugged them both. You'll be okay now. The trust will make sure of it. What about you? Penelope asked. What will you do now? Through the glass, I watched my parents and their spouses sitting in stunned silence, their carefully constructed world crumbling around them. Now, I'm going to do what Grandma Helen wanted, use the money to help people, starting with kids who've been caught in their parents' crossfire. My phone buzzed one last time. Harry, sending confirmation that the papers were being filed. Come on, I said to my step-siblings. Let's get ice cream. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day. Why? What happens tomorrow? Samuel asked. I smiled, thinking of the press release already scheduled, the non-profit paperwork ready to file, the story about to break. Tomorrow we start making things right. Behind us, raised voices erupted from the conference room as reality finally sank in. But we didn't look back. Some families are built on blood, others on choices. Today, we'd chosen truth over lies, justice over greed, and each other over everything else. It wasn't the happy ending they'd planned, but maybe it was the one we all needed. The press conference wasn't my idea. Harry insisted we needed to go public before anyone could spin the story their way. So here I stood, 24 hours later, facing a room full of reporters, while my family's carefully constructed facade crumbled in real time. Ms. Hicks, a reporter called out, can you confirm the allegations about your stepfather's involvement in international money laundering? Larry Thompson resigned from all his positions this morning, I replied, gripping the podium. The evidence has been turned over to the relevant authorities. Another hand shot up. What about the claims that your father and his wife created fake charitable foundations? All I can say is that the foundations in question have been dissolved, and legitimate educational trusts have been established for the minor children involved. The doors at the back of the room burst open. Mom stormed in, mascara streaked down her face. Serenity, stop this, please. Security moved to intercept her, but I held up my hand. Let her speak. How could you? She reached the podium, grabbing my arm. Everything we did was for you. Was it? I turned to face her, aware of cameras capturing every moment. Was it for me when you altered Grandma's will? When you planned to declare me incompetent? When you used Penelope's future as leverage? You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I held up my phone, playing the recording from yesterday's meeting. Her voice filled the room. Once she signs, the trust transfers immediately. The reporters erupted in questions. Mum stumbled back, reality hitting her as cameras flashed. Ladies and gentlemen, I addressed the room. This press conference isn't about exposing crimes. It's about announcing solutions. I nodded to Harry, who started the presentation behind me. Today, I'm launching the Helen's Hope Foundation, named after my grandmother. We'll provide legal and financial support to young adults whose inheritance or financial futures have been compromised by family fraud. Is this revenge? Someone called out. No, I said firmly. This is justice and prevention. I clicked to the next slide, showing Penelope and Samuel's smiling faces. These are real lives affected by financial fraud, real futures almost destroyed by adult greed. Serenity, Mom tried again, softer now. We can fix this, as a family. We are fixing it. I gestured to the back of the room where Penelope and Samuel stood with Harry. Just not the way you planned. The doors burst open again. This time, it was Dad and Vanessa, followed by Larry. You've made your point, Dad called out. Now stop this circus. Actually, Harry stepped forward. She hasn't even started. Would you like to explain the offshore accounts, or should we play the recordings? Larry pushed forward. You little. Choose your next words carefully, I cut in. Remember those papers you signed. One wrong move and everything goes public, not just the recordings, everything. The room had gone silent, reporters frantically taking notes as my family's drama unfolded live. Now, I continued, addressing both the press and my family. Let's talk about the future. The Helen's Hope Foundation will launch next month with an initial endowment of $10 million, the very money you tried to steal. That money was meant for family, Vanessa protested. It still is. I clicked to the final slide, showing the Foundation's first initiative. We're starting with a program specifically designed to help blended families navigate financial transparency and trust, something we clearly needed. You can't do this, Dad said weakly. Actually, I can, and I am. I turned back to the reporters. The foundation will be overseen by an independent board, including financial experts, family law specialists, and 2 very bright teenagers who showed me what real family loyalty looks like. Penelope and Samuel stepped forward, joining me at the podium. Mom made a choke sound, seeing her daughter stand with me. Any questions? I asked the room. Dozens of hands shot up, but before I could choose one, Larry made a break for the door. 2 FBI agents stepped in to block his path. Oh, right, I added casually. I should mention that the authorities have some questions about certain international transactions. They'll be conducting interviews immediately following this press conference. The room erupted in chaos. Reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing, my parents and their spouses being approached by stern-faced agents. Ready to go? Harry appeared at my side. I looked at my family one last time. Not the adults who had betrayed me, but the siblings who had chosen truth over comfort. Yeah, I said, taking Penelope and Samuel's hands. Let's get out of here. We've got a foundation to build. As we left through the side door, I heard Mom call out one last time. Serenity, please. But I kept walking. Sometimes the only way to fix a broken family is to build a new one from the pieces that still tell the truth. Behind us, the press conference dissolved into a frenzy of questions and accusations. But we were already moving forward, toward something better than revenge, toward justice, toward healing, toward hope. The morning sun streamed through the Foundation's office windows as I reviewed applications with Harry. 3 days after the press conference, and we'd already received hundreds of requests for help. This one's interesting, Harry said, sliding a file across my desk. Girl in Phoenix, stepmom trying to redirect her college fund into a family business. My phone buzzed, a text from Samuel. Dad took the plea deal. Before I could respond, Penelope burst into the office. Mum's here, she's in the lobby. I exchanged looks with Harry. Want me to send her away? He offered. No. I stood up. It's time. Mom looked smaller somehow, sitting in the lobby's modern chairs. No designer outfit today, just jeans and a simple blouse. She jumped up when she saw me. I didn't think you'd see me, she said. Almost didn't. I sat across from her. Larry's taking a plea deal. I know. She twisted her wedding ring. I'm filing for divorce. Turns out he was stealing from me long before any of this started. Karma's funny that way. Serenity, She stopped, noticing Penelope hovering nearby. Could we talk privately? Anything you need to say, you can say in front of her. I gestured for Penelope to join us. She's earned that much. Mum's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry. To both of you. I got caught up in the lifestyle, the prestige. I forgot what really mattered. Like your daughters. Penelope's voice cracked. Yes. Mom reached for her hand. Starting with you, I've already contacted your school. Told them the truth about everything. They're letting you keep your scholarship. Your real one, not the fake one Larry created. My phone buzzed again. Samuel. Vanessa's leaving too. Can I come stay with you sometimes? The kids are the priority now, I told Mum. Whatever happens next, they come first. I know. She pulled an envelope from her purse. That's why I brought this. The original trust agreement, the real one. I found it in Larry's safe. I took the envelope, feeling its weight. Why now? Because you were right. About everything. She looked around the Foundation's lobby, at the mission statement painted on the wall. Protecting tomorrow's legacy today. You're doing what I should have done. Protecting what matters. The elevator dinged. Dad stepped out, looking as worn as Mom. He froze when he saw us. Elijah, Mom said quietly. Genesis. He approached slowly. I just signed the divorce papers. Vanessa, she's been working with the FBI, turning evidence. Smart woman, I said, always playing all sides. I deserve that. He sat heavily in a nearby chair. I deserve all of this. No, I corrected him. You deserve consequences. There's a difference. Harry appeared in my office doorway, holding more files. Sorry to interrupt, but we've got that video call with the Phoenix girl in 5 minutes. I stood up. You both need to leave, but first, I handed them each a business card. These are good therapists, family counseling specialists. Use them. Can we... Mum hesitated. Can we try to fix things? Somehow? I looked at Penelope, who nodded slightly. Maybe. Eventually. But not today. Today, I have other families to help. I understand. Mum stood, hugging Penelope tightly. I'm so proud of you both, even if you don't believe me yet. They left separately, shoulders bowed under the weight of consequences finally caught up. You okay? Harry asked as we walked back to my office. Actually, yeah. I picked up the Phoenix girl's file. Ready to help someone else's family avoid our mistakes. The video call connected, showing a nervous teenage face. Ms. Hicks, I'm Maya. Thank you for talking to me. Call me Serenity. I sat down, Penelope settling into the chair beside me. Tell us your story. As Maya began speaking, I glanced at the framed photo on my desk, Grandma Helen at her last Christmas, smiling knowingly. She'd seen this coming, prepared for it, made sure I'd have the tools to not just survive but thrive. My phone lit up with a final text from Samuel. Dad's crying. Think he finally gets it? I typed back. Good, that's where healing starts. Then I turned back to Maya, ready to help write a different ending to another family's story. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's creation. Creating something better, something stronger, something true. And truth, unlike family fortunes, compounds with interest. Okay, Maya, I said, opening my notebook. Let's talk about protecting your future, because that's what family should have been doing all along.